Hi, welcome back to On the Rocks Entertainment. You guys, thanks for taking the time to click on this video. Like the title says, let's take a drive, and that's exactly what we're going to do today. I want to be consistent, so let's just take a drive and let me share some views I have with you guys. All right, so I'm in the truck warming it up. Just a timestamp for you guys, July 22nd. I'm just going to be driving around and seeing how much people are just cruising out and about. I'll be guilty of being one of those guys, but let's see what it looks like today. It's Wednesday, and it's not a bad day today. It looks like it's a little overcast, but we'll see. We'll drive to the side and see what it looks like. Okay, so we're rolling along. I got this up on my dash like a dash cam, so I can narrate while we drive down. As always, I'm coming from the south and I'm going into town, which is more on the east side of the island and only about 12 miles away. So yeah, you can see there's a lot of cars besides myself on the road, and this is the first time I'm doing this with the camera like this. Kind of protruding my space a little bit, but I still have enough room to operate and drive the car. Must look like I'm yelling to the windshield, because unless they can see the camera in there. Yeah, anyway, I have to kind of position myself to the right passenger side of my truck so I can look out the windshield, because usually where I'm looking through is where you guys are looking through. That's usually my sideline, but it's alright. So far the traffic has been kind of light, but you can see there's a lot of people just cruising around looking for something to do or things to see, probably looking to see other people. As you guys know, like every place else in the world, a lot of people are just lost, you know. Well, what, I can't count the days. I want to say roughly 100, maybe more than 100 days. Tourism is still down. They still have the quarantine 14-day law in place. How is it being enforced? That's questionable. But yeah, it still remains, and because of that, a lot of the airlines have stayed away from Hawaii. So like American Airlines, United, some of the big ones have stayed away. Delta has kind of scaled back a little, and they're talking about 400 layoffs in Oahu base. Southwest has scaled back a little bit. Just read something in the news over there too, that like 20% of the people are volunteering to take leave because it looks like it's slowing down. So what I mean to say is the airlines are scaling back as far as how many airlines are coming into different areas, and even the ones that are still servicing areas where you might live are definitely not sending the same amount of planes. So traffic is really small. I don't want to rant, but you know what's pretty weird, that although it's been pretty slow as far as unemployment's gone up and you know that kind of a thing, been noticing a couple of stock market stocks have been going up, and it's kind of weird which ones. The other day I saw like some kind of a Carnival Cruise or a Norwegian cruise line, you know, the ships, the cruise ships, the stock has come up. But you know what, I haven't seen a ship leave since maybe late February is when they were kind of taking their operations apart. So it's neat how they're making money when they're not even open. But that's just me and my curiosity about exactly how that came to be. So I'll check back with you guys time to time, because this is kind of just a one road boring drive. And it looks like we're getting into rain. Oh shit. Yeah, good thing I didn't wash my truck, because then I would feel bad about this. Other than that, we'll check back. I'll check back with you guys time to time when things get interesting. Okay, we're rolling into town, and just as suspected, rain. Not really bad rain, but enough that I have to turn my windshield wipers on. So I apologize if you can hear the streaky windshield wipers every once in a while. I've changed them like 3 times. It's a lot of rain. So since we're taking a tour, and I'm your friendly tour guide, let's try something new. Let's have a little conversation in cars. So, before the pandemic, tourism was crazy, expanding in every ways, building more hotels, more flights than we could handle at the airport. Right now, there's an abundance of rental cars parked in multiple places, shopping centers. They just don't have enough place to store these cars, period, because they were looking for it to be always on the road. And even when things was normal, I'll tell you guys, it's kind of chaotic. But we're not the only ones that suffered in Hawaii. I know New York and Florida. And there's a lot of places in the United States that is tourism. And now that I said that, that's why a majority of these people here are pretty much just cruising around. Tourism is, I want to say, 90% of the economy in Hawaii. So either you're directly in tourism or related, meaning that your job is subcontracted to a hotel or some kind of service that goes along with tourism. Without tourism, there's no ATV tours, zip lines, boat tours, raft tours. You get the picture. Now, if this same pandemic happened in, let's say, 1992, it wouldn't be that bad, because the economy at that time was agricultural, which is sugarcane. That employed about maybe 70% of the people who live here was working for one of the plantations. But what happened was sugarcane became too expensive for greedy bottom lines. So what they did was the invention of that high corn fructose syrup came as a godsend, a cheaper way to do something, and it didn't save the earth. It's probably bad for the earth at some point. I know it's bad for you as a human ingesting that kind of stuff. And at the same time, the economy went down as far as the middle class people that work for plantations, much like in the US mainland that have farms and they have factories and things like that. So to say that the pandemic was the only reason why so much people are misplaced would be, in my opinion, but I have enough facts to back it up, that statement is not true. Because you guys remember after 2008, how many things in the retail sector has closed. You've seen Borders Books and Music, Blockbuster, you've seen Kmart, you've seen, Payless Shoes, Sports Authority. You see a lot of different things closing. The reason they tell you is the same couple of reasons all the time. Amazon, or it's obsolete and stuff. The real reason is any business that you want to open, you guys, you have to have a consumer base. You have to have people that have the expendable income to give you business. Any business that does not have a customer will not last, and the customers are trying to be employed because their farms, their factories, or whatever they had closed down, and inflation kind of tightens up the belt on what they can spend. So a lot of places before COVID-19 were already in jeopardy. Things were already happening, you guys. Now that I said that, I say that to say this, make your brain think a little bit. Now, if you look across, like some place like South Korea or Taiwan or any Asian market, for that instance, you notice that they are more industrial. And somewhere along the lines, much like Japan after the World War, when everything was demolished and they had to rebuild and become engineers and construct, they did a lot of productive work. Later on, when NAFTA or whatever was formed, these guys were all retrofitted to become the industrial powerhouse to produce everything. And much of those countries on that side There's an inequality too, but from what I see, they got a pretty big middle class. If you go downtown Tokyo or Seoul, Korea, or even Taiwan, there's a lot of markets and stores. Definitely not like ours with closing soon, everything must go kind of a thing. Again, to prove the point, because the consumer is there, the business can be there. For us, it's really hard for that business, especially if it's a small business. They have huge amount of overhead and really no help to make it break it even. Just like in the early 80s when farmers were begging Ronald Reagan for help for the farmers because they couldn't pay their bills yet break even. And that's working 14, 20-hour days that these guys were working, and they were not breaking even. So there's something in the system that wasn't working. It's not just a pandemic, it's a systematic thing that, you know, a lot of economists and analysts are talking about. Probably the first time you guys hear me talking about some serious stuff like this, which is kind of scary. But you know what, you got to notice. And you watch the news, it's all about this guy is a bad guy, the left, the right, the red, the blue. And you know what, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. What really matters is there is something wrong, and you don't have to be 20/20 vision to see it, or perfect hearing to hear it, or perfect smell to smell it. It is what it is, and this is not it. And the new normal, it's pretty much a joke. Not new normal, we need to get back to normal. We need to find a way to bring back a strong middle class. Take those people that were displaced and give them a reason to live again. Give them purpose. Because a job, guys, a job is not just an income. It's something that gives you purpose, and it drives you to be consistent and ambitious. I mean, they always say work smart, not hard. But you know what, guys? That's the dumbest thing I ever heard, because there's no substitution for working hard. Working hard is the smartest way to work. Being consistent, you know, always being on the level, being on time, do what you say you're gonna do, you know, and that kind of stuff. Be accountable. There's a lot of sound bites going on of people claiming to do stuff, and then you look outside and it's the same thing it was yesterday, because we're just saying stuff without doing stuff. And we need to do stuff. And if we start doing stuff and life was more affordable for people, mental health problems would disappear. I think the dependency on drugs and alcohol would start to fade out. People would be reborn and, you know, go out there and do what we once did back in the 80s and the 90s, when we were a country that everybody looked to and said, that's America, you know, a land of opportunity. You know, right now you turn on the TV, you see protest and all kind of stuff. You know, you think about if another country is looking in at us, we are not the guiding light. That's all I want to say. And if I hurt anybody's feelings from doing it, you can have your own opinion, but I've been just kind of sitting around for 100-something days, and there's nothing normal about that. So we're going up to the airport now. Sorry about the long ass ramble, just to see what it looks like. I heard they moved the National Guard checkpoints and stuff, so I can finally do a circle. I haven't come to this airport since, okay, it's July right now, probably late, when was it? Well, I came one time in late June, but that's probably it. So from April to now, this would be probably my second or third time that I've came to this airport. So we'll see what it looks like here. I wish I could get you guys a side view, but kind of driving, so all we can see is the front point of view. Maybe one day, if I catch a ride, I will be able to film more views, but head on we'll probably see a lot of stuff here. So just gonna go around the circle and you'll get the gist. There's really like nothing on the ground and nobody in sight. Usually there's shuttle buses going around or tourists trying to find out how to return their car, people rushing to get on a flight, and that's not what you're seeing right now. It's kind of just abandoned, nothing going on, and it's been like this since this whole place was evacuated like a movie. March 26th, that's when everybody was told that lockdowns are gonna happen, to scale back, go back home, which that was a good decision, but we needed to have a plan to go along with that decision. Once everybody got back home, really no plan after that. So the plan to stop everything and turn everything off, you know, eventually happened. And then that was it. They could have done some other things like try universal basic income for 3 or 4 months or something like that, and that would alleviate having to make so much claims and worry about false claims and stuff like that. That you just pretty much give every citizen with a social security number X amount of dollars, and it would be easy to account for that because you're only looking at one ledger. There's only one payout. There's only, you know, that. But it's just me. We're gonna go to the right and then try to head down towards here. I'm gonna just tilt the camera a little bit. Geez, I don't know if you can even see that's my side window, but I'm just kind of moving this camera around. Usually you'll see the airplanes on that side, which you do not see, and the helicopter things are to my left. But even on this road, clearly see nothing's going on. It's really just quiet. I think September 2nd, which is over a month away, and there's Blue Hawaii on that side, is when they can green light and you can come without the quarantine. But there again, how many people are going to be able to afford to do that? Kids are going to go back to school. People are still not working. And the sad thing about it is, guys, that a lot of this has helped push a narrative of canceling a lot of jobs. You know, you hear a lot about jobs being automated or things like that. Either automated or they find a cheap way. They temp it or they subcontract the job. So there's less jobs to go back to. You got millions and millions and millions of people displaced, and only 100,000 positions that will be there when they supposedly say that's a new normal. That's not gonna work out. I just don't get how they do that, how they measure. You know, nobody tries to empty a 5-gallon bucket of water into a 40-ounce jug. That's kind of what they're trying to do, and it doesn't make sense. So you'll see over here, you'll see a lot of overflow on my left. That's the usual overflow, but they also have them in a lot of other places because we have so many rental cars. As they were looking to expand, they were going to expand like you wouldn't believe. There was more people on this island than there ever was. We had millions of people pouring in every week. We really couldn't handle the traffic, but you know, they weren't going to turn them away at the same time. So we got some people riding bike over there. Making my way down to Alkini. This is the first pier. part of my family on my dad's side. They immigrated from the Philippines. Used to live right here. My grandfather was a stevedore for Matson when they first came, before automation with all the cranes and stuff, and they had to carry stuff by hand. And there actually was a neighborhood right here, and this is where they lived. Maybe back in like the 50s and maybe even the early 60s. So across the ways, Honolulu, and then we got the wharf there, the pier. So yeah, nobody's out here. Probably because it was raining, they didn't come down. But yep, this is where it used to be. This is where the neighborhood was. It's kind of up here on the left side, so top of this hill. And that was way back. There's actually a road that got overgrown up here to the left, and that's how you went in. But I don't even know if I can spot it out because of the overgrowth. That's I think it's right over there. I think they put some rocks in front of it, so that's one way to know. A lot of flooding. It must have rained before. We'll catch the airport. Let me turn this back on. So we're calling back up. I'm gonna leave the airport now. I just passed a group of probably 10 helicopters that have been grounded the whole time. Again, like I was saying, a lot of businesses fall in line with that tourism. So it's kind of like put your eggs all in one basket and then let the basket, you know, fall on the ground. Why not? And yeah, it's really slow. The base yard for the helicopters right here on the right. I don't know if you can get that. I was trying to, and then usually they take off on the right there. Just trying to swivel the camera, but I don't know if I was quick enough. Driving and filming at the same time is it's an art that I'm going to have to master. Kind of like when I threw that thing on the bike, pedal bike, which I thought about today, but it's kind of rainy. Sounds like I don't know if I want to pedal the bike in the rain. And also, you know, with more cars on the road just driving around, and sometimes they're just driving aimlessly, kind of thought in the back of your head is they might clean you out, so you got a little bit more hard. I guess if I'm gonna ride bike, I'm kind of fixing some of my bikes to do more dirt, try to go dirt trails and stuff like that. It's gonna be safer. One, because less people, so the social distance is more in effect, and then yeah, I don't think a car is gonna come down 50 miles an hour on a ridge road. They'll break their car before they reach me. Now I'm just coming down to get onto Kuhil Highway. It's funny that we have highways here because we do not have highways. This is a very small island. This is basically 2 lanes of road, and I may have mentioned it earlier. There's under 100 miles of actual road that you can drive. A lot of private properties and stuff, so you're kind of like driving like only on a portion of it. I was born next door, Honolulu, which is polar opposite. They got highways and freeways and stuff like that. I mean, it's a city that keeps on growing so much that even West Oahu is gonna be like East Oahu. So downtown wasn't good enough. They gotta make it on the other side of the island. It's cool, you know. There's a lot of places, a lot of eating places, you know, like Asian culture. We like to eat a lot of stuff, but sometimes the traffic to get someplace is ridiculous. It's like Los Angeles. I remember going to Los Angeles as a kid for the summer, visit one of my aunties, and it's kind of like that. Unless you time it out and you know when traffic is going in what direction, you kind of have to jump on a wave. You got to know when to jump in front of it. If you're behind it, then you're kind of messed up. You're never gonna make it. Drive-throughs have been the most busy thing, and still yet till today. In front, I guess you guys can see the Made in Hawaii shop, and then you guys can't really see, but let me see if I can move the camera. There's a Hilo hat area to the right. Again, those are kind of souvenir shops that are geared to tourists, so that's not really going to be doing too much progress. We even had a movie theater. We only have one movie theater. It closed down and it's not going to reopen. They're done. That's it. But I think that's the same thing with movie theaters around the nation, but I know that they'll still at least have one or two. Honolulu, if I go back to Honolulu, there's movie theaters, but they're closed too, and no new movies because the film studios really couldn't film. They don't want their actors and their sound people and their staff. You know how much people it takes to make a movie? It's unreal. You know, it's a lot of work, a lot of people, and a lot of different sound studios and outdoor locations. So movies like Top Gun and Black Widow and stuff that was looking forward to are not yet done. And then even though before the lockdown, I didn't watch this movie called Trolls. It's more like a DreamWorks, I guess, a kid kind of a thing. You know, those trolls, those toys or whatever. They were doing their sales online, so they let you stream the movie for like $19.99 or something, and they found out that they made a lot of money that way, and they didn't have to pay a third party. They did not have to let a movie theater in on the profits or anything like that. So like the profits were boom, instant, which is scary. Because if you know how the movie theaters work, is opening weekend, the very first week of the movie, that's when they don't want you to see it, because the studio gets 90% of the takings. But every week after that, if somebody waits to week 2, the movie theater gets cut in more money and the studio kind of loses out. So the studio always pushes all the ads and stuff of the release date of the movie, and they want you to see it on the very first weekend, because that's when they make the most profit. But when they do the streaming thing, they just win-win. But then where's the magic of that, you know? I don't know. Call me old-fashioned. I still like to go to the movie theater. If I could, I would definitely go, because the surround sound and you know, 200-foot screen. I don't think anybody has one of those screens at home. If you do, you're probably a billionaire. And just let me know your address so I can come over there and watch some movies. That's cool with you guys. But yeah, I'm gonna head back home there. So that was just a little trip from the south to the east side. I wanted to go around the airport and see what it looks like, and like I thought, it was dead as a doornail. And I'll probably meet you guys back in the studio and close this video. So thanks for riding along and listening to my informative views and opinions, and we'll close this in the studio. All right, you reached a conclusion to the video, guys. Like the title said, we just took a cruise around. I didn't want to clickbait it or anything like that. I'm not about that. I'm not about selling you guys things or telling you guys how to think about anything. My channel is and always will be about just entertaining you, inspiring you, motivating, giving you information, and just fun things like that. That's why I do this. It's just for fun. and I will continue to do it. Hopefully I'll be more consistent, and we'll be doing some fun and entertaining things in the future. But till that time, let me just close it here so I can edit this and not be lazy and watch another movie or something. But I hope you guys are all staying safe and still using, you know, good decision making. You know, follow your heart and your head. Use both those in combination, and don't go rioting and doing destructive things, because that's the last thing we need right now. Like I said in the car, you know, we need more of a middle-class society. You know, I've seen a lot of people driving, like I told you guys, and accidents out there happen because, you know, we're not being productive. If you're not being productive, you're being destructive, right? So hopefully we can all get back to being productive, but we have to be allowed to do so as well. But take care, and I will see you guys on the next one. You guys are awesome. Till then, aloha.